very thankful for your patience. I'm going to do the very best I can. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. So we have about 55 minutes to discuss a very, very complicated and nascent technology that will affect everybody. And so I know you're all financial investment experts, so I'm going to give the two font disclaimer saying this is just about education. I'm not making any investment recommendations. Thank you, FINRA. So this particular conversation, again, is an introduction to Bitcoin and an introduction to blockchain technology. More than anything, I just want to bring to your attention that Bitcoin and blockchain, it's about disruption. It was invented by people who want to disrupt just for the sake of disrupting. Even if things are good, they want to shake it up. So I bring to your attention this young, dark-haired man with a yellow arrow over here. This is back at me in my prime, 1996. I was an independent floor trader at the Chicago Board Options Exchange. I've been a trader since 1982. We were in the middle of it. I mean, it was a blast, let me tell you. Technology, the technology costs were going down, and profitability and spread width between markets actually was pretty wide. So to be able to incorporate technology was a great and profitable thing. So this was 1996. This is, again, the same OEX pit, the S&P 100 options pit. It was the world's largest, greatest, biggest options trading pit in the world. And here's the pit in 2017. All right. Now, mind you, the pit looked a lot like this in about 2008, 2009. And just a few short years later, there's maybe a dozen people there. Most of them are clerks. They're playing solitaire on your Windows machine. They're waiting for orders to come in because almost all the electronic trading is done off the floor by matching engines over at Roosevelt and in Michigan Avenue. So I believe that Bitcoin and blockchain is going to disrupt absolutely everything. So here's an introduction to Bitcoin. So the creation of Bitcoin started in the fall of 2008 during the time of great economic distress. We all remember the Great Recession of 2008. And it was invented by a person named Satoshi Nakamoto, which is a pseudonym. We don't really know who it is or who they are, but there's a certain urban lore to Satoshi. By uploading a white paper on a peer-to-peer electronic means of exchange, an electronic form of currency, on some cryptographic website. So like most things, it started on the download by a bunch of complete and total geeks that have never left their basement because they rely on Mountain Dew and Monster energy drinks. So what is Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is one of those words like Jello, where it can mean many things. So Bitcoin, with a capital B, means the infrastructure. Bitcoin network, it's the internet protocol like TCP or ATM for ATM machines, or email, FTP, SMTP, excuse me, or FTP when you're transferring files. So it's like an internet technology called Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin with the small b means Bitcoin's like the currency, things that you hear about. You hear about ransomware. You hear about illegal trade and money laundering, all these things that you hear about Bitcoins. That's with the small b. Bitcoin is the large B, the technology, and it comprises really three different main technologies that didn't just come overnight. Like most technologies, it took a few years for people to cherry pick the best technologies and put them all together to create Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is where digital-based math meets a peer-to-peer network, which meets a decentralized ledger, a ledger being like QuickBooks or Excel spreadsheet. So Bitcoin's most important characteristic is that it's not owned by anybody. It's a free volunteer network where people join their computers together in an aggregate fashion to perform a function. And what they do is they get a small reward for that. So let's remember back in the day when you had your first telegraph key. You had your first telegraph operator in New York, and you had a guy in San Francisco. It takes two people to begin this kind of communication. So they were able to use Morse code, and as an amateur radio operator, I totally get how cool that is. You can communicate from New York to California in a matter of seconds. Who would have ever thought that that would be possible back then? Or even with the telephone. Telephone, it took two people. Well, what happened with Bitcoin, exactly the same thing. We had two people with a laptop. They both agreed to join and connect using an internet connection, and they were communicating back and forth to create the Bitcoin network. And little by little, people came on and joined the internet protocol, the internet, just like you plug in your computer at home. When you're able to download your Netflix, you want to watch movies, or you want to send email, or you're using a computer for 1,000,001 other uses. You are connecting to a shared highway of information. But with Bitcoin, there is no form of identity. Anybody can join the network. Anybody can volunteer to be a part of this wonderful electronic notary system. So in a centralized community, we have, for example, the Federal Reserve, right? We have this one little center of power. We have all these member banks. That would be considered a centralized database, a centralized thing of information. In a decentralized network, it might be kind of like Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, Nextel, where they're kind of like separately run companies, but they still do share information. I mean, I can send anybody a text message from my Sprint phone, and you guys get it on your Verizon phone, right? I mean, it's not like there's really any impediment for me to be able to share networks. And just as a side note, because of my Italian heritage, if I'm not talking with two hands, that's like having a speech impediment. So you have to, please excuse all the action up here. That's how I roll. So what is Bitcoin ultimately? Bitcoin is like PayPal meets the US dollar equals Bitcoin. PayPal plus the US dollar equals Bitcoin. So PayPal is a remittance network. They own their own computer. They own their own system. They charge you a fee for buying something on eBay or Amazon or sending money overseas. All they do is take your money and send it from one point to another, and they receive a fee for that. In many cases, it's about 3.5% to 4%. They don't own the US dollar. The US Treasury, the mint, owns the dollar. The government controls this. PayPal controls this. But with Bitcoin, the two become one, because the coin is actually the money. The internet protocol is actually have value. So Bitcoin is a form of digital currency created and held electronically. No human entity controls it or dictates its rules. It's hard-coded, like C equals C squared plus A squared. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. I mean, it's a mathematical formula. Bitcoin is a mathematical formula. It's comprised of about 30 rules that are hard-coded in open source. Now, you guys know open source is like Mozilla Firefox or Linux operating system, right? It's not proprietary like perhaps the Windows or the IBM operating software was. I mean, Bill Gates bought that in 70-something. But Linux is an open source. And there's so much power in sharing information. There's so much power in sharing things freely that the community, very, very smart people help build up the community. Now, Bitcoins are not printed like US dollars or euros. They're produced by people called miners. And they solve mathematical computations that create and verify this Bitcoin. Now, here I just took delivery of this a few weeks ago. This is what a Bitcoin miner is. This makes Bitcoin. Okay, it costs about $2,300 brand new. This one is so old it probably wouldn't even create any Bitcoins. But this computer can only do one thing. It can run a mathematical computation that verifies this Bitcoin network. Now imagine a warehouse in China with about 10,000 of these things, consuming electricity. They're on the internet, they're sharing information back and forth in this big network, and they're transacting in Bitcoin. That computer right there, or one very similar to it, performs the work. Again, the entire global Bitcoin network operates on a volunteer basis, peer-to-peer, which means that no one of those has more power than another one. It's totally democratic, and it uses a ledger system, like a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet, that is shared peer-to-peer, which is called blockchain. So once again, I think it's very, very important for you to understand this concept of a centralized database versus a decentralized database. And people who are involved with Bitcoin, they run the entire spectrum of political, social, culture. There are anarchists, crypto-anarchists who are in their basement in Estonia. Your Nigerian oil minister scams are into Bitcoin, as well as JP Morgan, Dell, Microsoft, Allianz Insurance Company. Many, many global multinational companies are very interested in Bitcoin and blockchain. So the Federal Reserve basically has, 12 member banks, help me out here, but there's only 3 of those centers theoretically, if 3 of those centers were the target of a terrorist attack, we would not have a monetary system in the United States because all the checks and balances between all the member banks, the Federal Reserve computation of how much money is out there, is all residing on 3 big servers. Now, I don't know how many people here have been into Chicago and actually gone to the Federal Reserve Museum. Have you seen the security that it takes to get through there? Anybody been there? Okay, it's like Fort Knox, right? So, well, that's what we said about the World Trade Center also. You couldn't, so if a plane goes into that building and 3 others like it, our entire monetary system is compromised. But Bitcoin, can you imagine hundreds of thousands of people with machines running in their garage, in a warehouse, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, all contributing to a financial system that can't even be identified? So what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin's system equally distributes authority to every single user. As I said before, no one person owns it. It was like set in motion like a set of dominoes, and everybody participates and joins this network. Again, it's governed by a set of protocol rules, internet protocol rules, and it will never favor the Bitcoin system over the people that use it, because the people that use it are the system. I know, it's hard to, it gets better, and it's really hard concept. So at its core, cryptocurrency or things like Bitcoin is not about the ups and downs of the digital currency market. It's not even about the euro or the dollar. It's about releasing people from the tyranny of centralized banking. Okay, so again, there's that very libertarian kind of mentality imbued in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is considered the new gold. Hard to believe, because this statistic kind of blew me away. But the United States was only on the gold standard for 54 years. So we abandoned the gold standard in 1933. Richard Nixon closed the gold window in 72, 74, sometime around there. But for the most part, people say, well, I don't want to own Bitcoin. I want the US dollar because it's backed by the US government. I still haven't really figured out what that means. What does it mean to be backed by the US government? Does it mean, well, maybe you guys have to be open for conversation, because I don't know what it means to be backed anymore. It's backed by debt, right? This electronic digital currency is backed by debt. So once again, throughout all of mankind, throughout all of history, we have had, as a civilization, different ideas of what it means to exchange value. What does it mean to have money? We had shells and tokens. We had coins that were stamped with Julius Caesar's name on there. We had gold. You go into a bank and you can get 1/35 of an ounce of gold back in the 18 and early 1900s. Then they replaced that with the Federal Reserve note, which meant that you could theoretically use this money for legal tender, but it wasn't backed by gold anymore. I mean, I remember my great-grandfather saying, you don't have money unless you have it right here in your pocket. This paper is worthless, because they saw it all disappear during the Great Depression. And then imagine this. Imagine that you lived on a gold standard back in the 1910s, and then someone said, tell you what, you take your gold and you leave it in the bank, and we're going to give you a piece of paper that represents the gold, just so you don't have to carry it anymore. You don't have to put it in your wagon, you don't have to keep it on your backpack or whatever, and this paper represents gold. And it took a while for people to acknowledge that, to accept it. They were trading currencies just like they might have traded gold and silver. No big deal. And then someone said, tell you what, that gold paper is not going to be backed by money anymore. It's going to be backed by debt and the good full faith of the US government, right? Uncle Sam. And it probably took them a while for people to get used to that, but they eventually accepted that there really was no gold backed behind the US dollar. And then in the 1950s, right about a little bit before I was born, someone called Diners Club came up with a piece of paper. And they said, this is money. And someone said, no, this is not money. This looks like a business card with a number on it. What do you mean it's money? And it took a while, but Diners Club finally adopted the first credit card back in the early 1950s. Bank of England, England received their first ATM machine. Mobile banking becomes popular in 1999 in Europe. Then in 2009 began the concept of digital currencies. So how many people here have money in the bank? No, you don't. If you have money, if you have cash in a safety deposit box, in the bank, then you have money in the bank. That money you have in your checking account or banking account, it's not really there. It's like Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. Everybody's over in this house, or that house, or their house. Right? I mean, that's what it's like. You in effect gave the money to the bank who took that and loaned it to somebody else's house, somebody else's credit card. It's the claim. You have a claim on that money using a centralized database of the bank, whether it's Chase, Citigroup, Columbia State Bank, Bank of Oak Brook, Evergreen Bank on the way here. You don't really have that money there. It's recorded in your name on an electronic ledger, such as Bitcoin. So let's get to blockchain a little bit. And I could use a timekeeper here also. Let me know when I'm getting close. I've got 6 million slides to go through. Okay. So distributed ledger. So the distributed ledger is all digital assets are defined and governed by a particular protocol. Bitcoin is considered the father of all digital assets because Bitcoin was the world's first functioning, first working digital ledger. So you have, here's an example from Goldman Sachs. Counterparty A sends funds to counterparty B. It goes into this black box. The transaction is broadcast across a network. Blockchain is added to a particular block where the transaction is recorded, and then counterparty B receives the money. Now, I know you're not going to make sense of that, but you're going to understand it in just a few minutes. This is the best way I can describe blockchain. Blockchain is like an Excel spreadsheet where every single row records a buyer, a seller, or a sender, the amount that they send, how much they received, and a small transaction fee. So think of blockchain as an Excel spreadsheet where every single transaction for 10 minutes is recorded on a row. And at the end of 10 minutes, there's a timestamp that says, okay, it's time to move on to the next worksheet. We're going to call it worksheet 1, we're going to call it block 1, block 2, block 3, all the way throughout time until 457,000 Excel worksheet tabs. What is the beauty of that? The beauty of that is you have an immutable record of financial transactions that allows you to follow an audit trail all the way back from the very first transaction. Does everybody understand that? Can you imagine a company like IBM or Microsoft or ExxonMobil, whoever it is, rather than having, say, a QuickBooks account that's being shared amongst users? I mean, I don't know how many small business users are here, but I'm only allowed 2 users with my basic QuickBooks online account. I get to share it with my accountant and with a friend, my wife. But again, Excel, but this is a centralized accounting ledger. It resides on your own computer, your own laptop. Or if you work for a company, it might be not only on your hard drive, but it could be on a company network, right? So it's still a centralized, very inward-facing Excel spreadsheet or database. Now let's go on to the next iteration. We've been using Excel. Does anybody here use Lotus 1, 2, 3? You're probably going to have to leave the room because this is way, way over what you're thinking about. But let's look at Google Sheets. Excuse me. Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a shared ledger. It's an Excel spreadsheet that updates dynamically. How many people here have experience with Google Sheets? Okay, so you're on the phone, you're talking to your friend or an associate, you make a change on Google Sheets, and they see it instantaneously. How many people were like, wow, that is so cool the first time they saw that? I mean, it was amazing. You're updating and seeing things in real time. I was having a conversation with my wife the other night, and I had my, we were up in my office, and I had my Skype is up, and I communicate with one of my administrative people using Skype, and my computer rings, and then my phone rings. Then my computer rings, and my phone rings. And what happens is, we're receiving the message almost simultaneously, and she's in Virginia. So once again, we have now used the internet, which at one time you couldn't send an email, you couldn't download videos, you could hardly use the internet. I mean, how long with a 300 or 600 baud modem did it take to look at your content that you wanted or to do anything? It was so frustrating how many times we just shut the computer off because it's just so darn slow. But again, now we have built this infrastructure up, which permits us to see real-time changes in a database. But where does this database sit? It's on Google server somewhere, right? You don't really have it on your computer. It's kind of like in the cloud somewhere. In the cloud really just means someone else's computer. It could be in at Roosevelt in Michigan Avenue, in like the Equinix building, which is basically an electronic Fort Knox that has computer servers in it. Here's another example of what a decentralized accounting ledger looks like. That is Bitcoin. I transpose most of these numbers into the Excel spreadsheet that you saw before. So this isn't really much of a ta-da moment, but just know that there's an accounting ledger that if I click on this link, once again, I can follow the breadcrumbs all the way back to the very first Genesis block, the very first block that was created in the fall of 2009. So Jeremy Wilson, from Vice Chairman of Barclays Corporate Banking, says blockchain could be a new operating system for the planet. That is an incredibly profound statement. And once again, blockchain, it's about decentralizing information. The bad news, the promise of blockchain is a world without middlemen. We're all middlemen in this room. Middle women, middle persons. Here's a great joke that I use all the time. On one hand, eliminating the middleman would result in lower costs, increased sales, and greater consumer satisfaction. On the other hand, we're the middlemen. And it is so true now more than any time in history. And why does the middleman no longer count anymore? Say, for example, you've seen all the big shipping containers, Maersk, M-A-E-R-S-K, Maersk. Okay, imagine from the instant an order is placed in China for projectors or laptops or Bitcoin miners, whatever it is, clothes. From the instant the order is placed to the time the funds are sent, to the time they're manufactured, out the door, make it to the dock, on a ship, across the Pacific, to San Francisco, by train to New York's garment district, you could keep track of every single item on every single cargo container instantaneously from anywhere in the world, and you don't need a person to verify it because the blockchain network verifies itself. It's like having an electronic controller who's always making sure that the numbers work in jive, but it's done every 10 minutes, in almost virtually in real time. So the problem with centralized databases is that you always kind of guard the information there. You don't want to share it with anybody. But the blockchain allows people from all over the world to have their own access. Someone has to give them access to the blockchain. So I'm not saying it's completely transparent. I'm just saying that no one person owns it. Now, that's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. You'll see that IBM, which is the creator of the Hyperledger project, they're bringing their own database skills together to companies to create like an internalized, decentralized database. So I know that's a contradiction in terms. But again, can you imagine, just a few weeks ago, Amazon web services went down. You couldn't use the internet, you couldn't buy anything on eBay, couldn't really watch Netflix movies, because Amazon has a centralized database. Blockchain permits for the ability to do one of two things. You can have a inward-facing internal private network. Okay, it's just like having internet routers within yourself, within JP Morgan, within Goldman Sachs, within a company. Sharing information. It's not located necessarily on a complete version on a hard drive. On a server. Everybody has like a version on their own machine. And most of you are probably saying, why would we want that? Because it permits 24/7 access. You can still manage the security because it's all cryptographically done. But again, it permits open access. So when you have a company like Maersk or JP Morgan, Federal Reserve, ExxonMobil, they're going to have internalized blockchains moving information from one point to the other. Every step of the way, from inception to delivery, is going to be recorded in this blockchain, and everybody can have access to that. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I did my taxes recently, I had to send an email to my accountant. He get back to me in about a day. Send him an email, get back in about a day. Send an email, let me check it out, Bill, I'll get back in about a day. Once again, Bitcoin will allow for almost instantaneous operation by anyone at any time. So can you imagine the amount of labor and paperwork and intense labor it takes to follow a shipment from China to San Francisco? Imagine a shipping container with a GPS monitor on it that will remind you and send you instantaneous emails about your thing on the blockchain, and it's all immutably recorded. For example, I was lucky enough to have Caroline Bowman invite me to the Financial Leadership Association, where this wonderful woman gave a presentation on like what was your toughest gig as a CPA? What was your toughest gig as a controller? And it was many, many, many stories. All of you people here have horror stories about people covering up databases, people making changes along the way and trying to protect themselves. We saw it in the trading world, where people would do trades, and they would deliberately leave the losing ones out accidentally the next day, right? But they would do that for a week in a row, or 10 days in a row. They would leave these trades that were massive losers in their coat pocket, or it fell out somewhere on the trading floor. That was called an out trade. Now, if you use blockchain, you can instantaneously make a trade. It goes to the Chicago Mercantile Field, it's simultaneously sent to the opposing counterparty. You know, it goes to the FINRA or SEC. It goes to the self-regulatory exchange. All done in perfect harmony with a timestamp audit trail. That's what makes blockchain so exciting, is the fact that as the transaction's going on, you can audit it in real time. As a company is making profits or doing expenses, you can verify that in real time. One of this woman who gave a presentation said that, you know, the CEO's son bought a piano for like $50,000 on the company credit card. There's a way of preventing that kind of thing from happening way before the expense report gets looked at in 3 or 4 months. This can be happening in real time checks and balances. Imagine with blockchain, because it adds so much anonymity and protection, you have an address, you have like a 60-digit number that's a hexadecimal associated with your name. Imagine a pharmaceutical company who wants to do a trial on a drug, can encrypt every single one of you like a little Fitbit. I'm just giving you ideas, a little Fitbit. The Fitbit has your information in it, height, weight, heart rate, blood sugar level, whatever, cholesterol. It doesn't know who you are, but it has a unique address that represents who you are there. And every 10 minutes it sends it through Wi-Fi to a pharmaceutical company, and they know you're about to take your medication. They watch your vitals as real time goes on, and they're able to immutably, irreversibly keep track of that data. There's no more scientists that are going to fudge the information to make their drug look good. So, again, once again, we have to go really, really fast here. But what blockchain also represents, another aspect is cryptocurrency. How many people here have heard of cryptocurrency? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Zcash, Monero. These are all cryptocurrencies, which means it gets its word from cryptography, which is very high order mathematics, and currency because it can transmit value. And if anything that Bitcoin has done, if anything blockchain has done in the last year, last 18 months specifically, is it has caused us to rethink what is money? What is money? What is value? How do I transmit value? And again, we're doing it in a decentralized way. And I remember the very first Gulf War, we were so excited we had embedded recorders into the Gulf War because we could see real time what was going on. They were like, you know, Fox News reporters. Now we have citizens, we have citizens on a bridge in Syria taking Facebook live pictures of the tanks coming on to instill martial law. So once again, the internet has disrupted these centralized people that provided news. Who watches news anymore except, who watches news anymore? We get it on our stuff, we get it on our phone, right? Okay, so, not very many hands, so I can tell you that, right? So we kill our spare time on our cell phones, or we're watching our news feeds, we're getting Huffington Post, or Fox, whatever, it's all done on our smartphone. We don't really watch TV anymore. My gosh, how many times have you watched the news and you say, oh, that's so 3 days ago? I mean, it happened a mile ago, you know, so long ago. Again, the internet loses power. Power brings a decentralized breaking down of who can rely on for information. And Bitcoin is no different. So once again, cryptography was started in the 1970s by a gentleman named James Ellis, although it definitely dates way back before then. But then telling you that cryptography is very hard to crack. The Bitcoin network consists of something called a private key and a public key. And the rule of thumb is, if you don't have your private keys, you don't own Bitcoin. Okay? So Bitcoin is like a safety deposit box with 2 keys. If I don't have my key, I can't get in to get my Bitcoin. So every time you want to use Bitcoin, which again sits on this blockchain technology, a public key is issued, and a private key is issued. The private key is the one I can share with people. I can post it on my website. I can leave it on the ground, and my security is not threatened. But once someone has my private key, which I retain either on a piece of paper or it's in my head, then I have use of my funds. And remember, Bitcoin really isn't money on the internet. It's really more like a ledger, which records the transaction that I engaged in between, say, me and Tim. So we both open up a checking account at Evergreen State Bank. I put 1,000 in, Tim puts in 1,000. And I feel like I'm going to make a transaction, I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Well, I go out on the exchanges, I buy Bitcoin, it takes it out of my Evergreen State Bank account, I look at my little cell phone and I see that I own Bitcoin. The Bitcoin network recorded that I bought Bitcoin from someone. I don't care who it's from. You guys don't care who it's from. When you buy and sell your mutual funds, do you care who is on the other side of the trade? No, it's anybody. And then one day, I got a $100 profit, I made a small little gain. I'm going to sell my Bitcoin to Tim, because he's like, wow, I really shouldn't wait so long. I should have bought it, Bill, when you did. When I sell the Bitcoin to him, peer-to-peer, person-to-person, without the use of a bank, he receives it almost instantaneously. And the Bitcoin network verifies, by me entering my private key, that I sent my $1,000 worth of Bitcoin to Tim. So now I have nothing on my phone, he has $1,000 worth of Bitcoin on his phone, and he can do whatever he wants with it. It's used in 100,000 locations across the world. Microsoft, Dell, Home Depot, Target, all beginning to accept Bitcoin.
Question?
Yes?
So that private transaction, I'm doing that on my phone. How do I actually do that physically? Do I go into a website or?
Well, okay, normally I would say that if you have an app on your phone for Chase Bank or Citigroup, the app connects you to their database. So your phone runs an app to see where your money is in a normal transaction. With Bitcoin, your phone becomes the bank. If you guys want to go to the Google Play Store or iTunes, download a piece of software called Coinbase. Coinbase. It takes it's about 10 seconds to download. This is called a Bitcoin wallet. What the Bitcoin wallet does is it knows your identity, and it's continually scraping all the information on the Bitcoin network to see what you have transacted. And it keeps that in your phone. But the thing is, just imagine this. I know I'm going off on a million tangents, because this is so powerful. What if you were in, I look at my Ellis Island records of my grandfather who came here from Italy. They recorded he got about $50, which at the time was a lot of money. Now fast forward to 2014, you have refugees going from Syria, Turkey, Greece into Europe, and they're stripped of all their possessions. They're taking gold. When you walk across the border, people want gold in case something happens, right? Anybody here think you can get through a TSA agent with a pocket full of gold coins and not get questioned? In times of economic distress, you really think you can make it from one point A to point B without losing those tokens? There's no way. I can't even get a pair of nail clippers through at TSA. How am I going to get 40 ounces of gold? It's not going to happen. But you know what? My wealth now can be put on my phone, which is recorded in a decentralized fashion, out on the internet. I leave my phone in Syria, I make it to Greece or Italy, I pick up another phone, and because I have remembered or recorded my private key, I can get my wealth back again, instantaneously. Because I can then convert that to British pounds, Japanese yen, US dollars, whatever I want. So this is what a private key looks like. The private key uses something called SHA, S-H-A, 256 encryption. Secure hashing algorithm. Scientists have now just cracked SHA-1. We're now on to 256. So here, this private key is, you can go on the internet, do a Google search for text to SHA-256 converter. So here I took my name, Ulivieri. This is my private key right here. This is what it looks like. The funny thing, the cool thing about SHA-256 is that it doesn't matter whether you enter one letter or Gone with the Wind, or War and Peace, or the entire contents of the Library of Congress in text format. You always get the same output, about 60 characters. That's the really cool thing about the technology of what's going on. And it's statistically impossible to crack this from the outside in. If I've got my public key, if I have my private key, I have security of my information. So I can go from inside out, but it cannot go from outside in. This here, famous presidential address, this is what the Gettysburg Address looks like in shot 256. It's the exact same length as my last name. For all those of are Jewish, why is this night different than any other night? Right? This is the book of Exodus, all 40 chapters. Cut and paste for shot 256 converter. This is what makes the fact that blockchain and Bitcoin is so interesting, because you can store massive amounts of data in one little encrypted chain.
Question.
Yes?
I don't understand. What is your private key then? Some kind of phrase or word then?
Yes, it's called a seed, and it comprises of about 24 words. Generally, they're 4 or 5 characters in length. So you could say, I want my key to be the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, brown lazy dog's back. Or it could be the name of all your kids or grandkids, or whatever it is. It could be random phrases. But what happens is, you can write down all these words, 24 words, you input it into the private key creator, and that is your unique address for all time. Lose those keys, lose the seed words, you've lost your Bitcoin. Does that answer your question?
It does. So if you forget those words or lose them, you're dead.
There's nowhere to go to get them
Your
back.
value is now zero.
Your value is not zero, it's still out on the network, and it's still recorded immutably for all time. But that's only going to be very frustrating when you're looking at your millions of dollars on Bitcoin network. You can't get a hold of it, you know? It's like my dog in the cage, and it's even blowing on something. It's like nuts.
So you better write it down somewhere.
You better-
You get out time.
So good practices is that you take your private key, you photocopy it, or you make an original copy of it, you laminate it, and put it someplace safe, like in a safe deposit box. But there are companies like Coinbase and other wallets that hold your private key for you. So you can just log in with a regular password. Yes, Ryan?
I have to ask the obvious question, that is some version of hacking to get at that code, right? If somebody does, can they take your money, or is there some other protection?
Okay. So all the hacks that you've heard about with Bitcoin happen to the companies that hold your private key. It's the wallet. Mt. Gox, Coinbase, there's a half a dozen other companies right now that are considered, they want to make it easy for you. Because the truth is, the average person is not going to remember 24 words, laminate it, put it in a safety deposit box. It's not going to happen. I mean, I reset my password like 10 times a week on Yahoo.com because I don't want to remember my password. They want between 8 and 10 characters, now they want up to 32. Who's got that, right? I mean, our list of passwords and usernames keeps getting bigger and bigger. But I just want to, how are we doing on time? All right, I just want to go very, very quickly through this. So yes, sir.
You know, we're talking about security and fraud, but you know, the thing that basically makes currency of value is that people believe that it has value. Okay, so in other words, people believe the U.S. dollar is backed by the full 50% of the United States government,
Yes.
and the value it has today is not its value that people accept.
Yes.
Okay, you wouldn't accept the currency of Syria. Nobody would accept that currency.
Correct.
What ensures us that people will accept the value of Bitcoin? What's behind the Bitcoin? I mean, it's like the emperor's clothes.
Well, Bitcoin, okay, so Bitcoin, so that's a very good question.
It's not secure. I mean, that is the basic issue. Why are we insured? Why can we be confident that it will hold its value? That people will continue to believe that it has value.
Ultimately, it is about supply and demand. The thing about Bitcoin is it is a fixed number of coins that have been created, which is 21 million. 60 million Bitcoins have already been created and mined, and somebody holds them. So there's the fact that the government, part of the beauty of backing the U.S. dollar is that we can go 22 trillion in debt in order to keep things going. The bad side of that is that if you didn't do that, we'd have a deflation that probably would be profound. So Bitcoin is a fixed number of tokens. What gives it value, yes, is supply and demand, but also what gives it value is the fact that I have to expend energy. Okay, I have to spend, $2,300 for this machine. I have to plug it into my phone. I have to plug it into my house. It costs maybe $3.50, $4 a day in order to participate in the network. I have to connect it to the internet. This throws off about 1,400 watts, which is like running a hairdryer in your house. So there is an economic cost to being a part of the Bitcoin network. So just like companies that have negative earnings, you wouldn't think that their stock price could keep on continuing, right? Why would you buy a company that's not profitable? Well, if Bitcoin ever becomes not profitable because energy prices are too high or the Bitcoin network doesn't reward you enough, people will pull out of Bitcoin and it will resume that natural momentum, that natural place of what gives it value. But yes, sir, you are correct. It's about supply and demand. Yes, sir.
Just taking that to the next level, though, he's talking about the US dollar. What would be the impact on just the whole foreign currency exchange system?
Well, like most things, there's a few good things and there's a few bad things. All right, so the good thing is this. Can you imagine the billions of dollars that are spent in foreign currency transactions? If you're a multinational corporation, you operate in 12 different countries, you've got 12 different currencies, you're spending millions of dollars buying and selling into your base currency. Maybe your base is here in the United States and you have to buy and sell in euros and Japanese yen, and that's very expensive and it takes a lot of time. So the beauty of Bitcoin is that I don't think it's going to replace the US dollar, but I think it's going to run side by side in parallel with the US dollar. Because why do I need to have a bank and transfer all this money in and out of different foreign currencies when I can just send an email to my guy in Antwerp and say, hey, I'm going to send you 11 Bitcoin, or the person in Zimbabwe and say, let's do 9 Bitcoin, or whatever it is. So I think what's going to happen is, will Bitcoin become a one world currency? Maybe, maybe not. But I think they're going to have a valuable place in commerce on a global scale. All right, Patrick, did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, so how, if I'm buying Bitcoin,
Yes.
a certain 1,000 Bitcoins,
Yes.
how does it know that, how do I know what to pay in terms of pounds versus dollars? How is the currency translated?
Well, depending on what your geographic location is, your Coinbase wallet will tell you how many. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's like there's translators and converters all over the world. You'll be able to know exactly whether it's 1.2 British pounds per Bitcoin, whether it's $1,200 to Bitcoin, if it's 20,000 Japanese yen to Bitcoin. It's all convertible in your own currency. So it literally is not even an issue really to talk about.
So
Yes,
when you
sir.
say there's translators all over the world, is
It's on
that
the internet.
Is in there? Oh, in there, okay.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
So
Because
somehow
we're trying
that-
to determine value. Bitcoin is about value. So let's just exchange value using Bitcoin. I'll convert my Japanese yen to Bitcoin. You convert US dollars. Let's come up with a number. And I'll send it to you and you'll have it in 10 minutes.
I think the point needs to be understood that cryptocurrency is not exactly the blockchain technology. The blockchain technology includes the cryptocurrency.
All the cryptocurrency sits on the blockchain technology.
Right.
Yes.
And to me, the smart contract within a blockchain allows you to put up an instrument like a letter of credit,
Yes.
which can be executed. And I think we all know how letters of credit operate, and you can define everything. So the caution is, don't think of the two together, immersed together. The caution is they are connected at the hip, and they're very complex
Yes.
and very dynamic, but
Bitcoin is the first app sitting on the blockchain technology. There's other things called Ethereum. Ethereum is a smart contract, which is kind of like LegalZoom, except on the internet that nobody controls. Let me rephrase that. That only the parties control. Nobody can dissuade or change the terms of the contract. For example, I went to the Insurance Blockchain Summit last November. Allianz, Northwest Mutual, all these massive worldwide insurers want to know about this. Why? Because they all have derivative products with each other. And when they have derivative products with each other, there's counterparty risk, which is another term for saying, I don't trust you, so you got to put up some money on the side. Okay? So you've got 10 different insurance companies with billions of dollars of notional value, all, yes sir, 5 more minutes? Oh no. Okay, so the thing with Ethereum is that you can bring all these parties together, I'll talk faster. You can bring all these parties together, you can establish a contract, set it in motion using blockchain, and on December 31st, 2017, all the contracts will settle, everybody gets their cash because it's sent automatically, and the beauty of it is you don't have to set aside reserves for any of those derivatives anymore. You can take that money and invest it in the market. So insurance companies are like, whoa, I can either keep my money with the Fed earning nothing, or I can invest it in treasuries, in emerging market funds or whatever. They're going to be all over
Can
this.
you elaborate on that really quickly? So the key that you mentioned earlier is that it's all totally private, so any public key could be anybody. So how does Allianz or anyone know that you're not putting up some, black market businesses public key and therefore money laundering?
Well, the greatest currency for money laundering is probably the U.S. dollar. So in terms of how do you guarantee the other person, there's always trust involved between two parties. So I'm not going to say you're going to send $1 billion to a public address because you don't know what's on the other side. You're going to establish a relationship with JP Morgan or the Chicago Mercantile Group or the DTCC, and you're going to exchange crypto addresses, and you might do very small transactions first, just to make sure that they make it they're okay. We'll do it right now, right? Who verified a checking account on the internet and it deposits 1 or 2 cents and then it takes them out? It's the same thing. You can do the same thing in blockchain and Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin blockchain completely strips the personal identity from the currency, which makes it really great for credit card transactions, customer not present fraud. In other words, the honeypot of hackers is these huge databases like Target, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Swift network. There's names, addresses, social security, healthcare information. All that is a honeypot of information. $65 per healthcare record on the black market. This is about the cashless society, identity fraud. These chips haven't done anything. Identity fraud is as big of an issue now as it always was. Bitcoin, again, brings a lot of an answer to that because I can exchange peer-to-peer, person-to-person, without the use of a bank, and I don't have to necessarily disclose any of my personal information.
What about debt?
What about debt?
Yeah, you don't have it in your
It's a feature, not a bug, is that Bitcoin does not have Bitcoin has a double spend feature, which prohibits you from spending twice the same kind of token. Because I can't spend another Bitcoin unless the blockchain has verified my transaction. So there's no, help me out here, the bank uses the fractional reserve system. There's no fractional reserve system here. Bitcoin could go to $1 million a token, $10 million a token, it doesn't matter. All there is a fixed number. You're right, there is no debt with this. It's one-to-one, no fraudulent double spending.
So the only money supply growth you get is by selling more of those and connecting them.
The only money supply growth?
Yeah.
No, it's not. You're not going to run the money supply because the money supply is 21 million tokens.
Right.
You're participating in
Adding
it.
tokens by buying more tokens, but it doesn't grow like the money supply grows today.
Correct. Some people would say that's good, some people would say that's bad.
So it's a fixed size.
It's a fixed size.
It doesn't grow unless it's allowed to.
Maybe down the road they'll be able to code. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to be the thing. They may come up with another currency that the Federal Reserve might use that can fluctuate from 21 million tokens to 2.2 billion tokens back to 19. It all depends on how economic conditions are. So they could theoretically do that.
Just real quickly, so state, how does it double in size?
Say that again,
How does
please.
it double in size?
Bitcoin?
Yeah, it got from 2 people to whatever it's at now.
Because of the economic, the return on investment is so high that droves of people are attracted to Bitcoin mining. Right now, in cryptocurrency mining is roughly a 70% annualized rate of return. Okay, I'm not going to like 1 minute, real quick. International wire transfers. I gave a presentation at the London Stock Exchange. They sent it to Bank of England, sent me my fee. They sent it to HSBC. They sent it to the Bank of New York. Went to my local bank, went to my company, Cenacle Capital Management. 30 years of doing business, they didn't know who I was. They just sent it all the way back again. It took me, here's the wire transfer of the future. London Stock Exchange, me. I don't need all those intermediaries anymore. It took 23 days for me to get my money from London. And I'm not joking. It's faster to mail an anvil to China than it is to send money through the banking system to China. Money is already digital. It's not like you're shipping pallets of cash when you wire transfer money. Here's an example of, how do I do this? Enter? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I think my time is up anyhow. There was real-time Bitcoin transactions. I was going to show you how it looks. There's thousands of cryptocurrencies out there. But, oh my gosh, I could talk for another hour. I'm telling you. What about the unbanked? 75% of the Kenyan economy runs on a smartphone. You would already throw it away in the garbage. I can send money from here to Kenya to a friend of mine who lives 200 miles away from a bank. It just comes in on their cell phone like a text message. There's 7 billion people on the planet. 2.5 billion of them live within 200 miles of a bank. They don't own their identity. They can't have a checking account. They can't get a loan. All these people are going to be incorporated in a new economy of Bitcoin and blockchain and things like it, because they can do micro lending. You can receive and send money instantaneously for virtually no fees. current market capitalization of all the cryptocurrencies, $29 billion. It trades $527 million a night, every 24-hour period. The exchanges like the Mercantile, Board of Trade, CBOE, they're going to be dying to get this stuff on the blockchain because rather than the market being open from 8:30 until 3, it can be open 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, a year. Here's Bitcoin versus other foreign currencies. You can see that Bitcoin is up roughly 153% over the last 3 years, 25,000% in 5 years, versus the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, British pound, all down. So it has kept its store of value. And I think, I'm done, right? Sure. Okay. I'm sorry, I did the best I could. I ran out of time.